Chosen one, bring all your attention to my voice right now. That tight weight sitting in your chest, the one whispering that you've ruined God's plan, quiet it. That voice is lying. The opposition is loud today for one reason alone. It knows what's coming next. It knows what breaks tomorrow. The pressure, the confusion, the non-stop inner battle. It reaches its end. And hear me clearly, this isn't random. This isn't luck. This ending was triggered by you. Think back to that moment this week when everything in you wanted to explode. You wanted to yell, explain yourself, walk away completely. But instead, you paused. You said nothing. You held back. You didn't realize it at the time, but that silence wasn't weakness. It was a weapon. That single moment of restraint was the exact action that signed the enemy's removal notice. You didn't sabotage your calling. You fast-tracked it. God cleared your schedule today for this moment. Every delay, every interruption was intentional. So you could hear this verdict. Ground yourself because what you're about to receive changes the narrative. You didn't stumble onto this message. An algorithm didn't land you here. This was arranged by the Holy Spirit long before you ever took your first breath. This is a divine meeting point. You're standing at a doorway between seasons, and I need you to stay with me until the very end. In the next few minutes, I'm going to place in your hands the spiritual ruling that shuts down the assignment formed against your life. I'll walk you through a no-compromise review so you can clearly see where you actually won. Right in the moments you thought you were failing. And when we're done, we'll seal it with a prayer that permanently locks the door behind you. Do not click away. Your future self is pleading with you right now. Leaving early could reopen something God has already closed. Let's talk about where you are. The last 3 days have felt off. Not just quiet, dense, heavy, like the air right before a storm breaks. Maybe yesterday you sat in your car, hands on the wheel, unable to turn the key, feeling exhaustion sink into your bones. Or maybe you jolted awake around 3 in the morning, heart racing, staring into the dark with that unshakable sense that something wasn't right. Though you couldn't explain what. You feel suspended, caught between who you were and who you're becoming. And in that in-between space, a very specific lie has been whispered. Listen closely to your thoughts. You're being told that everything feels stuck because of something you did. Your mind keeps replaying one moment, when you walked away, when you said no, when you didn't have the energy to keep trying. The accuser keeps labeling that moment as failure, telling you that because of it, you disqualified yourself and delayed the promise. But now let's bring truth into this moment. Nahum 1:9 says, "He will make a complete end. Trouble will not rise a second time." Let that land. Not a pause, not a repeat, an end. The original meaning points to total elimination, something finished beyond recovery. God is saying the struggle you're facing right now is not authorized to return. The enemy wants you to think you're stuck in a loop, that you reset the clock, that you're back at the beginning again. But that's a lie. You're not in a cycle. You're at a conclusion. What you're feeling isn't punishment. It's pressure from finality, like a rope pulled tight just before it snaps. You thought walking away meant weakness. You thought staying silent meant losing. You assumed disengaging meant apathy. But let me shift your perspective. That wasn't an error. That was precision. Doing nothing in that moment was the most aggressive act of spiritual warfare you've ever carried out. Here's why. The world tells you progress equals movement, hustle, fixing, forcing. But in God's kingdom, advancement often looks like stillness in the middle of chaos. What you labeled as quitting was actually holy refusal. Holy refusal is when you stop giving the enemy the reaction he needs to survive. The enemy can't generate power. He feeds on yours. He sends crisis hoping you'll panic. He places people to provoke you. He delays outcomes hoping you'll strive. The moment you react, you agree to his terms. But when you went quiet, when you disengaged, you didn't abandon the fight, you starved him. This isn't theory, it's scripture. Ephesians 6:13 says, "And having done everything, stand." In English, that sounds passive, but the original Greek word, histemi, is anything but. It's a military term. It means holding ground under intense pressure without retreating, every muscle engaged, every sense alert. It's forceful resistance without forward motion. So look back at your week through that lens. When fear tried to push you into panic and you chose to breathe, that was hystemi. When someone baited you into conflict and you put the phone down, that wasn't weakness. That was authority. When circumstances screamed for reaction and you stayed grounded, you held the line. That's why the atmosphere feels different. The enemy fired his strongest shot and you didn't move. You passed the test not by overtaking territory, but by protecting your peace. Now let's make this undeniable. We're going to run what I call the zero compromise audit. Don't move your body, move your memory. Scan the last 72 hours. See the timeline. Find the moment when pressure peaked. A message, a bill, a wave of heaviness. Now notice what you almost did. You almost reacted, almost reached out, almost made a fear-based decision. But then, pause. Look at what you actually chose. You stopped, you slept, you cried, you went still, and you did not compromise. That space between the urge to react and the choice to remain steady, that space is your victory. That is holy refusal. Now visualize this. See the contract the enemy tried to get you to sign. Fear, striving, returning to the past. Picture it clearly, and now in your mind, take a bold red stamp. Slam it down on that document. Void. Because you didn't react, the agreement never activated. Zero compromise. No legal access, no claim on your next season. And I know part of you is thinking, it can't be that simple. But sometimes the breakthrough isn't about doing more. It's about refusing to move when everything tries to push you out of position. You may be thinking, surely I have to do more than this. There has to be some action, some final effort to deserve this ending. That doubt makes sense. It's human nature to believe freedom must be earned through effort. But I need you to see how this plays out when the consequences are real. When it's not just theory, but survival. Because ideas sound nice, but what you need right now is proof. Let me tell you about a man who lived this exact principle of holy refusal when his situation was beyond desperate. He had $12 left. That's it. And a mountain of debt breathing down his neck. 72 hours after he chose not to sign the enemy's contract, he was sitting in his car in a grocery store parking lot, staring at his banking app on a cracked phone screen. His balance showed $1,243 total. Bills were due that very night. His stomach was tight with fear. And then his phone vibrated. A message popped up from an old business contact. A quick job, fast cash. Enough money to wipe out the immediate pressure. It looked like an answer to prayer. But there was a condition. The job required him to stretch the truth. Cut a corner. Nothing blatant, just enough gray to justify it if he wanted to. His thumb hovered over the reply button. His hands were sweating against the steering wheel. Logic screamed, "Take it!" Survival shouted, "You don't have a choice." But his spirit tightened. That familiar knot formed in his stomach. Deep down, he knew what this was. A counterfeit solution to a God-sized problem. So he did something that felt reckless. He locked his phone, didn't respond, didn't explain, didn't negotiate. He deleted the message, tossed the phone onto the passenger seat, and sat there in the silence. He drove home with $12. He went to bed hungry. He felt like he had failed. But in the spiritual realm, alarms were going off because he had just passed a test that most people fail. To understand why this matters, we have to look at the legal pattern behind it, the same one you unknowingly activated in your own life. Go to Daniel chapter 1. Daniel is a captive in Babylon. The king offers him the best food and wine available. It represents survival, favor, opportunity. But Daniel understands that accepting it would mean compromising his covenant with God. So he makes a decision in his heart not to defile himself. He chooses vegetables and water, less in the natural to protect more in the spiritual. Now watch the order. First comes the refusal, then comes the testing period, and only after that comes the promotion. Scripture says after 10 days, Daniel and his friends were found 10 times wiser and stronger than everyone else in the kingdom. You cannot skip the refusal and still get the promotion. And here's the revelation you need to catch. The reason your suffering is ending now is because you already completed the refusal stage. You saw the easy way out. You saw the compromise, you saw the shortcut, and you said no. Now go back to that man in the car. He went to sleep thinking he had lost his last chance. But 72 hours later, he turned on the news. That same business associate had been arrested for fraud. The entire operation was shut down. If he had said yes, he would have been pulled into the collapse. Instead, that very afternoon, he received a legitimate offer from someone he hadn't spoken to in years. Clean, aligned, and worth 10 times more than the quick money he turned down. What you need to understand is that what you did this week wasn't passive. It wasn't inactivity. You weren't stuck. You were protected. By staying quiet, by refusing to force doors open, by waiting on God, you sidestepped a trap that would have cost you years. You passed the Daniel test. You refused the king's food. And because of that, the legal season of testing is over. The time is up. The ruling has been made. But listen very carefully, because we are now entering the most dangerous part of the transition. The enemy knows your history. He knows compromise won't work anymore. He knows the contract of suffering has been canceled. So he's shifting tactics. He's no longer trying to stop you. He's trying to get you to walk away. There is a very specific psychological attack forming right now, designed to make you abandon the very blessing you just qualified for. And you need to recognize it before it hits. I need to go deeper with you for a moment, because there's a hidden fear inside you that you've never said out loud. It's the real reason this shift feels so intense. You say you want the battle to end. You pray for breakthrough. You fast for peace. But if we're honest, part of you is afraid of the war being over. You've been in survival mode for so long that struggle has become your identity. Fighting for stability, money, sanity, family, it's all you've known. So ask yourself the uncomfortable question: who are you without the crisis? Who are you when there's nothing to fix? Who are you when there's no enemy to fight? That question unsettles you, doesn't it? Peace feels suspicious. Silence doesn't calm you. It makes you anxious. Your body expects chaos. You're waiting for something to go wrong. You've lived on battle adrenaline for so long that calm feels unsafe. Right now, your spirit is trying to step into freedom, but your flesh is pulling backward toward pain, because pain is familiar and freedom is unknown. This is exactly what happened at the Red Sea. We often misunderstand that moment. We think the Israelites were just afraid of Pharaoh's army. But listen to what they actually cried out to Moses. Why did you bring us out here to die? Were there not enough graves in Egypt? They were begging to return to slavery. Why? Because slavery was familiar. They knew the rules there. They knew who they were, even if who they were was oppressed. But freedom required a new identity, and that terrified them. They chose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar promise. And now this is where you are. You're standing at your Red Sea. The enemy is behind you. The path forward is opening. And the panic you feel isn't a sign you're losing. It's a sign you're about to be free, and your nervous system doesn't know how to live there yet. The enemy knows he can't legally harm you anymore. You pass the test. The contract is void. The blessing has already been released. So here's the shift that changes everything. He's not attacking to block you. He's attacking to evict you. There's a difference. To stop you, he would need power over your future. He doesn't have it. That authority was broken the moment you stood in holy refusal. But to evict you, all he has to do is convince you to leave voluntarily, to step out of what God has already. Imagine being given the keys and the deed to a mansion. It's legally yours. The opposition can't force its way inside. It can't smash the door, can't pick the lock, can't take the deed from your hands. So what does it do instead? It paces outside. It shouts. It hurls stones at the windows. It pulls every alarm it can reach. It creates so much noise, panic, and disruption that you get overwhelmed and run back outside, back to the old broken place, just to make the chaos stop. That's exactly what's happening inside you right now. This anxiety you're feeling isn't proof that things are falling apart. It's proof that something is being protected. It's the alarm being pulled to scare you into abandoning your position. The enemy wants you to self-destruct. He wants you to say, "I'm done. I can't handle this," and quit at the exact moment your victory is becoming permanent. He's hoping you'll give up the blessing simply because sitting in it feels unfamiliar. He's counting on your attachment to struggle. He's betting that you'll choose the pain you know over the pressure of elevation you don't yet understand. But you're not taking that deal. You're staying put. You're remaining in the house. Let him shout from the yard while you sit at the table God prepared for you. Because now that you understand the strategy, eviction, not defeat, you can recognize the tactics. Since his only option is to make you leave on your own, he's going to deploy 7 specific psychological pressure points. I call them the 7 last gasps of the enemy. These are the frantic, final moves of a foe who has already lost but refuses to accept it. You've already felt the first 2 today. I'm naming them now, so when they hit in the coming hours, you won't spiral, you'll smile. These aren't random setbacks. They're intentional, desperate, predictable. Think of a trapped predator. It knows the end is certain, but in its final moments, it lashes out harder than ever. That's the stage you're witnessing now. The war over your soul is over. So the enemy has shifted his focus to your attention. He wants your eyes on the noise instead of the win, on the storm instead of the savior. We're exposing the blueprint now, so you can step over every trap instead of falling into it. The first gasp is the recall. Within a day of real spiritual movement, something or someone from your past suddenly resurfaces. Like clockwork, a text from an ex, a message from a toxic connection, a relative who only shows up with chaos, or sometimes it's not a person at all. It's a sharp memory of an old failure that hits you out of nowhere and floods you with shame. Why this move? He's checking to see if your heart is still tied to Egypt. He's testing the emotional lock to see if he still has access. Your response must be total non-engagement. No replies, no explanations, no mental conversations. Delete the message. Dismiss the memory. Let the spiritual realm see that the former version of you no longer answers calls from the past. The second gasp is phantom pain. You may wake up feeling heavy for no clear reason, a headache that doesn't add up, a sudden wave of exhaustion that crashes over you midday. You were fine yesterday. Now your body feels off. You might think something's wrong with you. Nothing is wrong. This is physical pressure meant to discourage you. Since your spirit is guarded, the attack targets the body. The goal is to make you lie down, withdraw, and say, "I'm too tired for what's coming." Reject that narrative. Don't claim it. Visualize that heaviness as a dark mist hovering around you and blow it away. Command alignment. This discomfort is not substance, it's shadow. And shadows only have power if you believe they do. The third gasp is the money scare. This one catches many people. Right before a financial breakthrough, an unexpected expense appears. The car acts up, a forgotten bill resurfaces, a random fee drains your account. The timing is never accidental. The goal is panic, fear, tight fists. If your hands close in anxiety, they can't receive overflow. Recognize this for what it is, a bluff, a distraction. Don't let your pulse spike. Look at that expense and mentally mark it handled. It's the enemy trying to tax something he has no authority to cancel. Those first 3 attacks are external. Loud, irritating, but easy to spot once you know the pattern. The next 4 are more dangerous because they're internal. They don't hit your phone or your bank account. They target your subconscious. They come when your guard is down. The 4th gasp is the dream intrusion. Many of you experienced this last night and brushed it off. You went to sleep hopeful, but had intense, confusing dreams. Maybe you were lost, back in an old place, being chased or stuck. You woke up feeling drained instead of restored. That wasn't random. When the enemy can't reach your conscious mind, he tries to plant fear while you sleep. These dreams are not messages to decode. They're spiritual junk mail. Don't analyze them. Don't search meanings. In your mind, picture a delete button and erase every image. They have no authority over today. The 5th gasp is isolation pressure. Soon you may feel deeply alone, even around people you love. Conversations feel misaligned. You'll feel a strong urge to explain yourself, to be understood. Resist it. This is a leak trap. The enemy wants you pouring energy into people who cannot carry what you're becoming. This solitude isn't rejection. it's protection. You're in transformation, and a cocoon only has room for one. The sixth gasp is imposter syndrome. A voice will whisper, "Who do you think you are?" It will replay your past, your flaws, your lack of credentials. It's meant to make you decline the invitation to the next level. Dismiss it immediately. You were never chosen because you were flawless. You were chosen because you were called. The seventh and most dangerous gasp is premature celebration. A small, shiny win will appear, partial progress, a minor breakthrough. The temptation will be to settle, to stop pressing forward. Don't trade the mountain for the beach. Don't celebrate crumbs when the whole bakery's coming. Acknowledge the step, but keep moving. Now you've seen the entire board. You know the traps, but awareness alone isn't enough. You need a strategy for these final hours. You're in a transition zone. Think of it like a spacecraft entering a new atmosphere. There's an airlock phase, pressure adjustment, so nothing ruptures on entry. I'm giving you the 24-hour airlock protocol. This is how you stabilize your spirit and move through cleanly. It has 3 internal actions. Step 1, the mental cleanse. Isaiah 43 tells us, "Do not remember the former things, nor dwell on the things of the past. Look, I am doing something new." We quote that verse all the time, but we often miss the instruction hidden inside it. You cannot recognize the new thing if your mind is still crowded with the old one. The Hebrew word used for perceive is yada, and it doesn't just mean to notice. It means to intimately know, to experience firsthand. You cannot fully experience tomorrow's breakthrough if your thoughts are replaying yesterday's losses on a loop. So right now in your imagination, I want you to walk through the corridors of your mind. Look at the walls. See the frames hanging there. The failures, the betrayals, the moments you wish you could redo. One by one, take them down. Set them aside. Leave the walls empty. You're not erasing your history, you're making room. God is delivering new furniture, and cluttered walls can't receive it. Step 2 is silence. For the next 24 hours, you are entering a verbal fast concerning your struggles. No complaining, no venting, no replaying the story with someone who already knows it by heart. Your words act like coordinates. Every time you describe the problem, you're sending a signal that tells the enemy exactly where to aim. Go quiet. Drop off the radar of negativity. Let your silence speak louder than your explanations ever could. Step 3 is expectation in action. You don't step into a new season empty-handed. You plant something that connects where you are to where you're going. This seed doesn't have to be money. It could be kindness, intercession, forgiveness, blessing someone who can't repay you. Do one thing today that the future version of you would naturally do. Act like the blessing is already in motion. That posture tells the spiritual realm, I trust the process. Now pause for a moment. Feel the time of day. Sense the shift. The ground beneath you is moving. The atmosphere is thinning. You are nearing the crossover. Let me show you what's coming by this time tomorrow. Because what I see isn't just improved circumstances. It's a rewritten reality. I know your logical mind is pushing back right now. You're wondering how something as simple as silence could end a battle that's dragged on for years. How restraint could dismantle a curse. So let me ground this with a real story. A few months ago, a woman sat at a family dinner table, the same table she dreaded her entire life. She was the outsider, the one everyone picked apart. Every gathering followed the same pattern: mockery of her faith, criticism of her career, jokes about her dreams. For years, she fought back. She defended herself. She cried. She stormed out. And every time, the enemy walked away with her peace. But this time was different. She had learned the protocol. The comments started. Her brother made a cutting remark about her finances, asking when she'd finally get a real job. Her mother compared her to her cousins, implying she was behind in life. Her heart raced. Her hands shook. She wanted to explode. But she remembered, words are coordinates. So she did something radical. She said nothing. She stayed seated, took a slow bite of food. Internally, she blessed them. She imagined herself standing behind thick glass, hearing the words hit but feeling none of the impact. The silence became uncomfortable. They pushed harder, confused by the lack of reaction. But with no fuel, the fire died. She went home feeling heavy, unsure if she'd done the right thing. It felt like endurance, not victory. Until the next morning, her phone rang. It was her brother, the same one who mocked her the night before. He was crying. He said, "I don't know what happened, but when I looked at you last night, I felt exposed. I saw a strength in you I've never seen before." And in that same call, he offered to pay off her credit card debt. That's the power of this transition. When you change how you respond, you alter the timeline. By this time tomorrow, you will see the evidence of your holy refusal. Habakkuk 2:3 says, "The vision is for an appointed time. Though it seems to delay, wait for it. It will surely come." The word translated as delay doesn't mean late. The Hebrew implies hesitation, questioning, like the promise is pausing to test resolve. That's the airlock. That's the silence you're standing in right now. But the verse promises this. At the end, it will speak. So step into this future memory with me. By this time tomorrow, the quiet will break. The answer will speak. The situation that's been lying to you, telling you that you failed, will be exposed. You'll wake up and the crushing weight that's been sitting on your chest will be gone. You'll inhale deeply, all the way to the bottom of your lungs, for the first time in weeks. The knot in your stomach will loosen. You'll look at your phone without dread, only anticipation. You'll look in the mirror and you won't see a victim. You'll see a survivor, a warrior who made it through. The war's over, the battlefield is clearing, and you're not standing there as a prisoner, but as someone holding the spoils. But we don't just hope for this, we seal it. We take this decree we've established and stamp it in the courts of heaven. We're moving from instruction to enforcement, so shift your posture. Your body speaks to your spirit. If you can do so safely, stand up right now. Don't stay passive, stand. If you're behind the wheel right now, grip it with intention, like someone who knows they are in control. If you're lying down, rise up and sit at the edge of the bed. We are stepping into the presence of the King. You don't enter a royal court slouched over. You don't enter defeated. You walk in upright, aware of whose child you are. Place your hand over your chest. Feel that steady rhythm. That's not fear. That's the heartbeat of a warrior who made it through the night. Close your eyes to the physical space around you and open your inner sight. Picture a courtroom. See the accuser standing there, holding a record of your mistakes, rehearsing every lie he's ever whispered about who you are. Now lift your eyes to the bench. Watch the judge strike the gavel. Court is now in session. The ruling is ready. We are ending a chapter of your life permanently. Don't drop your hands. Stay standing. I know your legs feel unsteady. I know your mind is arguing that this is pointless. I know there's a pull telling you to sit down, grab your phone, distract yourself. That pull is the gravity of the old season trying to drag you back. But right now you are breaking orbit. You're escaping the pull of the past. This isn't just prayer. This is ascension. You are stepping out of the limits of time and circumstance and stepping into authority. Look around the room you're physically in. It looks the same. Same walls, same objects. But in the spirit, the ceiling has been torn open. A column of fire connects where you stand directly to the throne. You are not just in a car. You are not just in a bedroom. You are standing on holy ground. The atmosphere is shifting. If your hands feel warm, that's real. If there's a tingling along your neck or spine, that's movement in the spirit. The angels assigned to this moment are drawing near. I speak now to the heaviness that has sat on your chest for these last weeks, pressing, suffocating, making you feel like you're gasping for air while standing on solid ground. Your time is finished. In the name above every name, release them now. Exhale, fully, push the air out. That weight cannot survive in the presence of the King. I speak to the fog of confusion that's clouded your thoughts, the voice that made you question your own clarity, the disturbance that jolted you awake in the early hours with racing thoughts. You are evicted. Leave their mind. Leave their dreams. Leave their nervous system. Peace is reclaiming this body. Feel your feet. You are grounded now. You are no longer drifting. You are planted, like a tree beside living water. The storm can shout, but it cannot uproot you. We are standing before the judge now. The court is filled. The witnesses are watching. Those who endured before you, who held their faith. They are leaning forward, celebrating, because your victory continues their story. The accuser steps forward with his file. Every failure, every stumble, every angry moment. He wants to argue that you're unworthy of what's coming next, that your past disqualifies you. But an advocate steps in. He places a hand on your shoulder, steady, warm. He points to the mercy seat. This one belongs to me. The debt is settled. That file is obsolete. It was canceled at the cross and confirmed by your refusal to compromise this week. The judge nods. The gavel lifts. The decree is ready. We are not begging God to act. We are aligning with what has already been decided. Open your mouth, out loud if you can, quietly if you must, even silently in your spirit. We are about to dismantle every trap, every lie, every chain. Now that the space is clear, we begin. We revoke the 7 final tactics the enemy tried to use against you. First, the recall. To every pull from the past, to old relationships, toxic voices, former failures that tried to resurface and drag you backward. I issue a restraining order. You have no access here. That version of them is gone. Every soul tie is severed. Every bridge you're trying to rebuild is burned. The door to the past is sealed, and you no longer have the key. Second, the phantom pain. To every physical heaviness, unexplained ache, sudden exhaustion, I command release. This body is a dwelling place of the spirit, not a landfill for stress. Nervous system, regulate. Strength, return. Weariness has no legal right here. Third, the financial scare. To the spirit of lack and the devourer that showed up at the last moment, I issue a cease and desist. You cannot touch what's been planted. You cannot skim what you didn't sow. I declare provision unlocked, resources moving, debts collapsing. Fourth, the dream interference. To confusion in sleep, to invasive imagery, to nighttime manipulation. I cover the sleep cycle with peace. This space is restricted airspace. No intrusion permitted. Rest is restored. Dreams will now bring clarity, not chaos. Fifth, the isolation pressure. To the lie of rejection and loneliness, I break your hold. This season of quiet is not abandonment, it's consecration. They do not need validation from those who can't see the calling. Approval has already been given. Sixth, imposter syndrome. To the voice asking, "Who do you think you are?" Be silenced. They are not here by perfection, but by grace. Shame is canceled. They belong in the room they're entering. Seventh, premature settling. To the temptation to stop short, to accept less, I break your influence. No crumbs, no substitutes, no shortcuts. Endurance is rising. The full promise will manifest. Now we seal it. The moment of restraint you chose, the refusal to react, is stamped with the king's signet. It is recorded as a past test. Because there was no compromise, there is no access point. The breach is closed. The wall is restored. I seal the protocol. The mind is cleared. The tongue is aligned. Expectation is activated. These are no longer temporary actions. They are your new operating system. I declare every assignment against your life canceled. The suffering contract destroyed. The delay ended. Every generational claim overruled by royal adoption. Listen to the stillness now. The chains are gone. The accuser has left. The traps are dismantled. The enemy is bound, silenced in the corner. But now look again at the center of the room. The throne of your heart. It has been swept clean. The old has been removed. The lies, the weights, the squatters, gone. But hear me clearly, chosen one. An empty throne is dangerous. We do not cleanse a kingdom just to leave it vacant. Eviction was only the first step. Occupation is next. The chair is waiting. And now, it is time for you to sit. In your spirit, see yourself walking toward the center. No hesitation, no shrinking, no asking if you're allowed. You spent too many years standing against the wall, waiting for permission to exist, waiting to be chosen, waiting to be called forward. Today you take the center, sit down, feel it, the shift, the weight settling on you. This is not comfort. This is authority. This is not a chair of rest. This is a seat of rule. You are no longer reacting to life. You are governing atmosphere. Something heavy settles on your shoulders now. But it is not heaviness. It is the mantle, the responsibility, the authority, the armor of light. It fits because it was forged for you, custom made in the fire you survived. Wear it well. From this seated position, hear me now. Faith needs coordinates. Destiny responds to declaration. I am about to speak your timeline, not as hope, not as hype, but as direction. I decree over your next 24 hours, a supernatural silence will fall. The inner noise will stop. The pressure in your chest will dissolve. The enemy will attempt to knock, but the locks have already been changed. You will wake tomorrow with clarity you forgot existed. A song will rise in your spirit. The fog is gone. I decree over your next 7 days. You will see a physical sign, a ram in the thicket moment, an answer where there was none, a resource appearing suddenly, a message, a call, a provision. When it happens, don't call it coincidence. Call it evidence. This is the reward of your holy refusal. I decree over your next 30 days, acceleration, ground recovered, time redeemed. What took 3 years to lose will be restored in weeks. Doors that slammed will unlock from the inside. Rejection will reverse, but by then, you will have outgrown the room. This is not slow healing. This is rapid restoration. You are not climbing out. You are flying out. Chosen one, listen closely. You are graduating. The wilderness was not your grave, it was your classroom. The pressure was not punishment, it was preparation. The delay was not denial, it was development. And you passed, the exam is over, the season is complete. You are dismissed from pain, from lack, from survival mode. I commission you now. Go back into your world not as someone who endured, but as someone who commands. Walk into your job with your head high. Walk into your family with boundaries of steel. Open your bank app with an expectation of increase. Do not apologize for your light. Do not dim yourself to keep others comfortable. You are the head, not the tail. Above, not beneath. Now, one final instruction, the most important one. Do not look back. Remember Lot's wife, delivered but frozen mid-transition because she kept her eyes on what was burning instead of where she was going. Do not mourn the old version of you. Do not grieve the people who cannot follow. Eyes forward. Your future is demanding your full attention. We seal this now, not with ritual, not with religion, but with agreement. On the count of 3, type it or shout it wherever you are. This is your signature. This is the gavel strike. 1, the past is erased. 2, the future is secured. 3, it is finished. The door is shut. The new day has begun. Go and walk in it.